Okay. They're telling us that RQ, some segment RQ, is a perpendicular bisector to PS. So there's some segment PS, and I want to sketch it out here. Okay. Here we've got PS, and I'm going to label them as such because it says, well, first it says RQ is a perpendicular, RQ is a perpendicular bisector. Let's see if I can grab that and realign it. Okay, and RQ is a perpendicular bisector to PS. So here's P, and here's S, and it bisects it at Q between P and S. Okay, so RQ, so that must mean R is up here. So RQ is a perpendicular bisector to PS at Q, meaning it bisects it there at Q between P and S. What do we know then? Well, before we even draw the triangles, we know that that is congruent to that. Okay, now angle SPR, meaning this angle here, SPR. There must be an angle that's running up there. So let's draw a side there. Oops. That angle right there, which they're just talking about, that angle right there, is congruent to angle PSR. PSR runs from here to here, there to there. Okay, so I'm going to draw that one. Okay, and it says those angles are congruent, so I'm going to put a mark here. Okay. Now, what else do we know? Well, RQ was not just bisecting PS down here. This was not just bisecting this, which is why we know that that's true, but it was a perpendicular bisector to it. That means we know something else. We know that this is a right angle. Okay? Well, RQ is reflectively congruent to itself. We know that. And because this has base angles here, right there and there, they told us that right there, that are congruent, then we know that these opposite sides are also congruent. So we actually can say that is congruent to that. All of this stuff we know to be true. And in fact, because of all of that, we know by the third angles theorem that that is congruent to that. We of course know that that is congruent to that because they're right angles. Okay? So we know everything. We know all of this stuff. We know because they're bisectors, we know that side is congruent to that side. We know reflexively that this side is congruent to itself. We know this angle is congruent to that angle because it was given to us. And therefore, we know that the opposite sides are congruent. We know that's congruent to that. It's a perpendicular bisector. We know that that's 90, and since they're a linear pair, right? I mean, it's perpendicular, so it's going to be right angles, both of them. And then because we know that this angle and this angle are congruent to this angle and this angle, by the third angle theorem, we know that. We know every single angle on every single side. So, by which of the 5 congruence statements can you do this? We have all of the information. It's all of it. We know it all. So, we know hypotenuse leg. Here's the hypotenuse. Here's one of the legs. Or here's one of the legs. They're right angles. Okay. We know angle, angle, side, because we're given that. We're given that. That's reflexive to itself. We know angle, side, angle, because this was bisected, so we know that that side's equal to that. And we have these are the same. You know, those are the same. Angle, side, angle. Side, angle, side, because this was bisected, so that equals that. We know those angles are the same, and we know that. So side, angle, side, and side, side, side. We know that that is congruent to that because it was bisected. This is reflexively congruent to itself. And because these two base angles are congruent by the converse of the isosceles triangle theorem, we know that that leg is congruent to that leg. So side, 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 all of them. Amazing. That's so cool. I love that problem. This is the last geometry problem that I need to do tonight. And then now I'm going to upload them. So I'm done making all of your videos for geometry. I'm sorry this took so long, but hopefully this has got to you in time. But man, what a cool problem to end on. That was a neat problem. I liked it, and I hope you liked it. And I hope that you understand all of this stuff. I'll be trying to check my messages this weekend to answer any questions for you, but I think you got this. You guys are going to be great, so good luck this week on exams.